So I'd like to talk about relational intelligence. This is the second time we've talked about it. Um, I believe I forgot to record the last meeting on relational intelligence, so we don't have that recording. So I'm not really sure what perspective we took on it. Um, but since we're only two people, three people, why don't we keep this very open and open up and do it as much as like a discussion? I'll raise a topic. If you have questions, if you want to investigate it at the time that I speak, go ahead and speak out, okay? So we'll let this be quite informal. Um, Relational intelligence is something that actually came from rewilding attention for me. I was running around teaching rewilding attention, and within the midst of it, um, I was attending to how we are present in our. I don't want to use the kind of hip language of ecosomatics, but how we're attentive in our relational practices. And from that came relational intelligence. Attention is basic to relational intelligence because, of course, all beings require kind of attention. Attention is almost food. And in this moment, we find that everybody wants our attention. They want to garner our attention because if we attend to something, we might pay for it. We might value it. Attention itself creates value. And that's an interesting political thing. And we can speak about this issue politically, but when we look at what's happening within the very depth of attention, we understand that where our attention goes, we go. And because we are there, that means our body mind. It's not just our mind, it's not just our eyes. Attention, of course, always is body. And when we allow ourselves to care about where our attention is placed, when care comes along with attention, then it is a form of self-care because we have the capacity to notice the qualities of that attention, the engagement of that attention, and we can deepen our attention. Now, of course, attention is sensory. It's sensory practice. Attention is an organizing of our embodied state. Great, Alex is with us. And because attention is an organization of our embodied state, where we place our attention, we are bringing that, what we believe a human to be, into that relational practice. Good morning, Alex. Good evening. And the so all of the practices that we engage with in dance become present, because body is always there. And yesterday I just gave this talk that Alex was present to, was part of. Thank you for being there, Alex. I loved that. And the talk was about one future of dance. And one of the futures of dance for me is a profound attending to our relational intelligence and developing practices that create greater relational intelligence. Now, intelligence, let's look at that word. What is intelligence? Yeah, I'm not looking at a book right now. I'm not looking at the dictionary and how it is defined. And I didn't set up to look at that before I started, other than the fact that I'm always engaged with intelligent practice. I have to take a moment and acknowledge that Alex has this gorgeous being with him. And that is so exciting. And a month ago, when I saw you, I was in, I think, was I in Hong Kong? I'm not sure. Oh my goodness. Both of you are there. How wonderful. All three of you are there. Now you're three. It's so beautiful. I'm so happy for you. Very delighted. There was no baby a month ago, and now there is. Congratulations, you guys. So, um, when we are looking at intelligence and looking at what it can mean to be intelligent, intelligence, as I understand it, is the capacity to be in lively communication with one's world, to be able to be in, and communication itself are the seeds. It means to be appropriately responsive to within one's relations, appropriately responsive within one's relations. And that means that one has understanding, and understanding meaning a bodily felt knowledge about the other, whatever other is, whatever one is in relations with. And that may mean a capacity to have many kinds of relations, which means to not simply have relations of othering, have relations that, and here's where relational intelligence comes in, relations that supersede the practice of uh, um, being a singularity, and that allow one to be as the other, the ability to practice beyond one's own form as a communicative practice. So within our own bodies, we're constantly communicating. Parts are communicating with parts. The body, we do not speak about the body mind as composed of intelligent beings, but of course it is. It is composed, we are a multiplicity. We are, as human beings, an emergent phenomenon of many, many, many relations organizing together to create whole forms, new forms. Intelligence is about that capacity to create new forms, to discover. And here's where I think it's critical to understand intelligence as having creative practice. Where there is no creative practice, the ability to um, to go beyond what one has understood in the past, to understand something anew, to have an imaginary that can conceive of possibilities not yet formed. Now we start to have something that is truly intelligent. So, where there is intelligence, there must be creativity. Where there is relational intelligence, there must be creativity. There must be an imaginary that is not merely repeating past patterns, but is capable of recognizing new potentialities and dreaming somewhere to go. What's the range of possibilities? And that range within any moment, there's always a range of possibilities. As I speak, I am drawing from this amazing range of possibilities that I recognize. Let's talk about the ship of time, about the experience of time. I think of time as a ship, and this moment, present moment now. When I'm on the ship, if my present moment is really fast, a very thin slice of present moment, my ship is very large. I have sensitivity to a huge range of possible events and I call it a ship because I put it in a sea of time, a sea of events, temporal events, and all those events are touching me. I have the capacity to recognize what's happening around me when I'm fast. When I'm in chunky time, I'm thinking of lots of things, and I'm very thin in my capacity to know what's happening. When I'm thinking about the next moment and I've already predetermined what it is, so I don't have to know about this moment because I'm going to do that thing. I'm not very present. I'm very chunky. My presence is durational. And when I'm in that durational presence, the ship of time, the ship I am, my presence is a very tiny little dinghy. It's a boat. It's a tiny little boat. And it does not, it's not very influenced in some ways. It doesn't touch and feel this sea that is working upon it. It is it is so small that it does not have a capacity to be engaged with the larger form. So present moment, think of present moment as having this flexibility, temporal flexibility. Your moment now driving, Jara, is not the same as my moment here sitting. That's why listening to me is a challenge, because you want to take on the capacity of what I'm talking about in imagistic ways, and yet you must be present driving. And driving is splitting your attention. It's fun. I mean, it's not that you shouldn't be doing it, but you must be doing two things simultaneously. I have so much to say about that, and I'm not going to. Because when we split our attention, we become vulnerable to suggestion, which is quite wonderful. We don't, things can slip in there that you don't even know are slipping in. So uh, it's an interesting world right now because people live a great deal with split attention. And one of the things we adore about dancing is that we bring our full attention to something. Yeah. So, Alex, how is it having a child? Are you splitting your attention constantly?
I don't believe in the focus anymore.
Yeah. 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 So, um, so the reason why we're discussing time in relations to intelligence, relational intelligence really requires a flexible practice of time, an ability to do lots of different things temporally, to thin slice and to chunk. Now, I'm not sure when Jara drives her car or when Alex picks up the baby whether they are thin slicing or going more chunky or how they're dealing with the moment, the present moment. But when they do that practice, it would be interesting to understand whether their time senses are aligned. Thinking about, for instance, a future potential, um, as well as what is occurring in this moment now. So the ship of time is present in this moment now. And I've just had this marvelous image of a big ship carrying a little dinghy, dragging a little dinghy, which is a very funny thing, a notion of having two simultaneous time senses. But if one thinks in terms of this ship as it's carving through the ocean and is making all these bow waves, there is big influence and of these, of the present moment of the ship on the sea. And the ship that is moving, everything, the moment it moves into the sea moves and creates this lip at the bow where it compresses the move action of the ship moving through water actually compresses the water in the front as it carves through it, which is why we have this shape, not a flat shape moving through water, but this so that lip is relatively small. But as this happens, all of that compression, all of that contains the sea that it is moving into is the future, is what can be. And there is this sense of a lot of possibility. You're not in that possibility. It's coming, but you feel it. It's acting on you already. And the ability to feel the next moment acting on you already supports your relational practices, not so that you think ahead of what you're going to do, but that your embodied state is already in action. And this happens when you thin slice. When you are in chunky time, you supersede all of that. You're doing another thing altogether. You don't know enough about the moment to be in an embodied state responsive to the present as it arrives. The arrival of the present moment, that sensibility of this present, this present, this present. So, intelligence being that thing that allows us to be um, res responsive or to have choice in how we are in relations. So, to me, being in communion is the fastest way we can be present in the moment. So, Alex, when he holds his baby, when he is in communion, his whole form supports the child, and and the child becomes as if he were Alex. So Alex has the capacity to have many different kinds of relationship with the child at any moment. And one of those capacities is to be in communion. And being in communion is where you do not separate your identity, your sense of self from that which you're moving with. So if I'm doing a contact improvisation dance, I am that my partner's physical form is within the realm of the same care I carry for myself. It is a full sense of caring. I care um, my partner's legs and my partner's balance is my balance. When it's a dance with a baby, my baby's well-being is my well-being. And you can separate. It's like one hand, that hand thing that I was doing yesterday. One hand can touch the other and feel the other. And you can put yourself in one hand can be the toucher and the other hand can be the touched. But but that can switch very quickly. They can also both do the same thing. They can be one action, which is interesting because when we when two hands act as one, we have an ability to to engage with spaces that are, and it's not just touched and touching, it's experiencing and being experienced. So one becomes object, the other becomes subject. And if I change it this way, this will make better sense than what I was about to say. So when both are, um, um, when we create a world of subjects, of which we also can be. So when I go as with the tree, I am not making the tree object. I'm not looking at the tree. I am, tree becomes an aspect of Nita. And when that happens, tree is the subject Nita. So tree's experience is Nita's experience. Doesn't mean I can't make tree object. I can in an instant. And when we do contact improvisation, we're doing that constantly. And that's also what you're doing with your baby, I believe. Does that make sense, Alex? You hold many relational positions. And it's kind of phenomenal what happens that babies gain language, that babies gain communication, that they recognize they're being communicated with. And all of that happens because of the relational practices of a parent being in the present moment as the baby. And the baby, because the baby is definitely in the present moment as the parent. And it takes years for the baby to go, oh, that's different. I'm not that. There's in fullness to have that sense of being an individuated being. So the process of relations is to start from a undifferentiated state. And our capacity to allow ourselves to undifferentiate is also really important, an important capacity. The problem with that is that it gets abused. And it has some really major problems. And the major problems are when people become codependent on another person. So they can't individuate. They can't separate themselves from the other. And that's a problem. But just because sugar can be addictive doesn't mean you can't sometimes do sugar. Just because that various things. I'm thinking of coffee. I'm thinking of various things that we engage with could have a negative effect. Doesn't mean that they don't have a positive effect. And there is a great positive to the ability to stop the demand that you differentiate all the time, so that you have the capacity to become more than we with someone. You have the capacity to be in a mutual I. They are being in a mutual I with you, and you are being mutually to, engaged with them. What happens in an undifferentiated state? Well, the parent has a thought, and that thought easily slides that. So a parent is angry and upset about something, is having body level sensation. That body level sensation is not separate from the child. This child recognizes and experiences it. Why? Because it's undifferentiated. So as an adult, of course, we differentiate so we can say, your upset is not my upset. We need that. But in order to know what's happening to the other person, we might allow ourselves to open to the experience that they are present in, and then return to a differentiated state. And an undifferentiated state is really not the same as a child in so many ways when you're an adult, because it is specific. It is, if you're doing contact improvisation, you might be dancing with somebody and you might feel their fear. It might be part of what you experience. And that experience is held in their physical form, but it's also an emotional feeling, it's also a thought. And you can have that thought feeling. And at the same time, no, it's not you. You're different, you're differentiated, your individuated body that's doing that. But you do accept, you do recognize that in the body that the two of you are forming, now that body needs help. And you have what it takes to help. And that's part of the practice of contact. Do you have the help that's needed? Can you do that? Well, you can't do it if you're not relationally intelligent, if you're not willing, if you're living in chunky time, if you're thinking about what you're going to do next, if you've got moves. You can't be relationally intelligent. So this ability to go in and out and respond appropriately is kind of incredible magic that we have. And it's interesting and fun. Okay, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to leave it to you guys. What do you think about what we're saying? And thank you for being here, guys, because you allow me to struggle with language today.
Mm.
Today, I'm struggling with language, and and with the way of grasping a concept. And maybe today I thought, gee, that ship analogy is so confusing. I should stop using it because it's too confusing for people. Um, but tell me about intelligence. Tell me about relational practices. What do you think about what we're talking about and how we're talking about it? Yeah, go.
I used to define or think of intelligence as like very close to logic, which means like we're having the specific input, you got the output. That's the logic. And I thought mostly of intelligence very close to this idea. And then suddenly like what but no with your vision of being in communication, it's like okay. Then I thought, oh, but I don't believe that the robots, for instance, are intelligent in this way because they have
Yeah,
the same output all the time,
right.
which is a totally different kind of way. And then I think like, okay, but this means that everywhere where we have the patterns is one thing, and intelligence there is when we have the ability, the capacity to be open and to experience something new, which
And to
is
break patterns. Yeah.
yeah, like I don't know, and that leads me to the question of intelligence is the logic that has different abilities and the choice actually. Like I see the choices. I have something to choose, and I can't choose if it's a pattern. I'm following it. That's it. Even if it's
Exactly.
smart, if it looks super clever, it's not intelligence at all. It's just a pattern of thought. That's it.
Which is
That's
why,
something different.
which is why time practices are so important. Because if you're in chunky time, you're pattern making.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's tightly connecting to time because of the pattern. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and now I need to think a little bit more about different intelligences and how they do choices actually. Uh,
Think about it, Alex, and let's have another conversation. I'd love you to think about that. It's great. Okay, Jara, your car mate. I don't know her name or their name.
Oh, I'm
Hi.
Amy. I'm Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Yes. I have a question.
Sure.
When you said our when our attention is divided, we're more susceptible to suggestion.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so I'm a clinical and medical hypnotherapist in training, and I've done that work. And because I pay attention to where someone is, what they're doing, how they're doing it, um, I know that when if someone were to talk to you from one ear, at the same time somebody else is talking to you through the other ear, you are highly suggestible because you're trying to hear two things at the same time. And that allows, and I technically don't know how that functions in the neuroscience of it, but that moment, that in that duration, I can say something, or a third person could say something that you wouldn't even know you knew had gone inside into your subconscious mind. You subconsciously receive it, in other words. So, um, um, if you were to speak on one side of someone's ear and the other side, someone else was speaking, and you were saying, telling someone something that they did not believe, for instance, or they say, let's say they thought they were weak. And one side, you start with saying, well, something about weakness, which they're going to be in agreement with. And then you change as you're speaking and you start talking about the strength they have. And you say it in completely different ways. One person maybe is telling a story about strength, and the other person is telling a story, maybe giving a thought pattern. That person will have a very, that.
Check reported ahead on I-71 North.
Okay, that's where you're going. So that's what I mean. It's a very powerful tool for altering someone's habit patterns of thought without them really knowing much about what's happened. It is part of why it's really, when we're in these like crazy environments with lots of things happening, and we're trying to do two things at one time, um, we can very easily undo ourselves by um, by that interior confusion that happens when you have too much input. Uh, um, Leaves you vulnerable um, to a thought, and it may be your thought that you're having. That now, with all of that going on, your own thought gets re-supported, gets stronger because it's now stronger inside your subconscious mind. So it's a crazy. It's these split attention, doing this and doing that. If you can keep it really clean, that's great. I very often ask people when I'm training them, I give them too much to do. I do that as a practice. I say, do this and then do that. Feel the presence of all the people in the room and feel your own presence. Allow yourself to move in arcs and circles and spirals through all the space that is available to you. And as you're feeling all of this available space, notice there's always space available to you. Pay attention to where to the presence of others. Notice the space that they're giving. And while you're doing that, feel that weight falls to the underside in your own physical form. And you're present to the gravity as you're moving in the top of your head, in your arms, in your legs, in your belly, in your pelvis. And I will keep adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. And at some point, some people go pop and they start to be able to hold the whole thing. Because what happens when you do this and that, if you do it fast enough, this and that, this and that, this and that, this and that, it becomes a single form. It becomes a new thing. And then you've got this new thing. So for some reason, I'm thinking of dancing on stage. And you've got things you've got to do, like you've got to be aware of, say, where the wings are for an exit. And you have to be aware of some event that is taking place in relations to that exit. And you want to know both things at the same time. And as you rehearse and you practice, you do this and that, this and that, this and that. And finally, the thing that the experience becomes a single experience instead of two experiences. And that's a phenomenal new strength that you have, because now you're not looking for two things. You've got one event, one thing that you can practice. So there's various levels of what happens with split attention. There's something when we have control over it and we practice it, we're doing something that gives us greater and greater skills. When it's happening to us, we're vulnerable to suggestion that we might not know is happening. Did I answer okay so that you got it? Okay. Any other ideas or questions or curiosities?
Maybe a short comment on this one, on the shared attention and split attention. That's a fun fact. A lot of people know that about Zen, that it's like the first of all, Zen is translated as practice, the word
Right,
itself. Second, what they usually say is like, okay, the first task is to focus on one thing, do one thing. But
right.
as one of the gurus of Zen, the lamas and all these guys say like, okay, the second step, notice that you're actually doing the opposite thing at the same time and practice that as well, noticing that in fact you are doing both.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, you can't say black without provoking white
Yeah.
or invoking white, I should say. Yeah. Yeah, another question. I saw it. Amy, was that you?
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about Zen a little bit too, or I guess the present moment.
Ah,
Um,
great.
so like, sorry, I'm driving. Um, so like we talked about intelligence as the ability to formulate future events or possibilities that have yet to happen.
Oh,
But
that's
I'm
not the
glad,
only thing that intelligence is by a long shot. It is to be in the present moment and in that aspect of the present moment that is the formulation of those possibilities. It is not to
yeah,
be in the thinking about what's possible here. I mean, it is and it isn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, no, thank you for clarifying that. I guess I'm like grasping the idea of being in one with the present moment so much that I can explore opportunity.
Say that again because you went wobbly on me. Say that again.
So I am more and more focused on the present moment and how it contains the possibility of the future.
Yes.
But I guess I stumble on the paradox of how do we how do we decide where to go from this one place, from this one present moment? Like how do we move forward in time? And a lot of the time, just like the shift in the current, we're taken by the current, like the ship movement is taken on by the ocean movement or whatever. So we end up doing things that feels maybe familiar or um, or have happened before.
Correct.
But I feel like I guess like I'm just in the stage where I'm trying to be even more open to the possibility of steering the ship a
Okay.
little bit and
Okay, let's
go,
do something,
yeah,
Amy. Let's do
yeah,
something. Okay. Tell me what you are noticing about the present moment right now.
right now.
Yeah, tell me
Um,
everything you can about right now.
well, I'm driving. There's a yellow car in front of me that is facing me actually. There's a truck that's like towing a yellow truck. um, so it's actually like very abnormal. It's actually really cute, and then the sky is really pretty. There are trees surrounding the highway, and the phone is
So
here on the
great,
dashboard. Yeah,
great. So you're telling me everything that's outside the car that you're visually present to. And I'm going to um, ask you to now, as you're driving, attend as well at the same time. And you can do this and that, right? This and that practice. Attend to the space of the seat you're in, the wheel of the car, the sensation of the wheel in your hands, the window to your left, and the air above your head and your legs and the pedals or whatever you're touching. Notice touch. Notice touch. See the car, see what's outside the window. Notice touch, see what's outside the window. Notice touch, see what's outside the window. Notice touch. Be present to the space within the car. Okay, what's different when you do that?
feel more horizontal attention, like more maybe a little bit calmer. It's hard to describe.
Great. You feel calmer. What has changed about the next present moment because you are calmer?
I'm more centered in my body.
You're more centered in your body. So, what, if anything were to happen in the world that you're present to, what would be different?
I would be more centered in my body instead of paying attention to everything else.
And have capacities that are different than when you were just looking out the window.
Yeah.
Very different capacities. So the future changed. The future changed because, not because you dreamed a different future, but because you became present in a different you. You attended unique differently to this moment of driving the car. That's how you change the future.
Thank you. That was
Okay.
really good to experience.
Okay, great. Alex, you're smiling.
Because it's like, oh, you changed my life for the next 10 seconds.
It's true. It's so true. Yeah. And life is built of 10 seconds and 10 seconds and 10 seconds and 10 seconds and 10 seconds, which is the Zen thing. Yeah. That's pure Zen. The next moment is also 10 seconds, in this event. That is how we change the world. We change the world through how we organize our attention in this present moment, which is if we're really working, we're making that present moment even smaller, not larger. The thinner we attend, the more specifically we attend moment to moment to moment, the bigger our world gets, the more we can know about it. So presence is being here now, right here now, and noticing that this moment now changes your world. What do you want the world to be? It has to start here in how you are. And Alex, I am really sensitive to the fact that your world is getting blasted constantly by this war that has taken over the whole of your world, the Ukraine, and that to say everything that we work on could be so beside the point, and yet it could be the most important thing. Because the only moment, if you give your life up to the war, then you have war life. And if you give your life to this moment, to this smile, this baby, this beauty, this dance that you are, you're such a beautiful human being. I so adore you. I want you to know that. I really, really love and adore you. And I encourage you to feel so much larger, so much bigger than this national event that you're in. And I love that you go online and you go into the world and you open to this world all the time. Such a practice you're in. And I honor that. So big love coming your way.
That's the great question, and I am honored to face it in such a like tremendous power. How to combine these the need in presence in my own life, and realizing that it's true, and it's actually like the big wave. The war is true. It's not that it's faking somewhere, and like and it's the same as combining the world of for me as the world of thoughts and patterns and just decisions with the world of creativity, in fact, like that's more or less the same thing, and I'm here right now. And that's the reason why I'm here.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
asking myself this.
Yeah, it takes more than one to live well. You can't live as an isolated being. You need us and we need you because We have to keep it real. And you force us to keep it real because you're forced to keep it real. At the same time, you need us because we bring you this time, this freedom within, which you must nurture those skills and that beauty and love. I'm so glad you've got love in your life. And I never realized, and as everyone, I'm sorry I've really taken this into this other thing with Alex, but I never realized that when you go out on the street, you're in danger of somebody coming up and picking you up and carting you off to the war without your agreement. I didn't realize that. And I realized that that carries its own very particular stress.
Yeah, but it seems like we are all like conditioned and agreed with lots of different things. Like, okay, COVID, we wear the masks, for instance, like,
Right.
and it's just a very severe form of stress, and yeah, and but pretty obvious. But I'm still thinking how we combine two things because we need the agreements to live in a shared world, in a shared environment, but still we are that kind of
Yeah.
full freedom, in
We
fact.
and we need to be intelligent, and that's what intelligence is. And intelligence is the ability to break the pattern, to break the agreement where we need to break the agreement. Not breaking the agreement just to break the agreement. It has to be done. It has to be a broken, you break the pattern in service of something. What are you serving when you break the pattern? What's the creativity serving? It's really important to ask that question. What's your creativity serving? Yeah. Rebecca, I feel as if you always have something to say, so I'm really interested.
Oh, I'm actually my attention today is a bit chunky, but I was
Okay.
listening, and no, I was listening, and it's quite. I was also quite struck by what you were saying to Alex and what was, yeah, how we all live in different conditions at the moment, and it takes courage and to live through certain experiences, and that, you know, we're all in the same planet, many different things happening simultaneously, and we need to take awareness of this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it was, I was actually listening. And it was a really powerful conversation as usual today. What I was focusing on lately is the relationship with our microbiomes that are inside, because there's so many talks about sustainability and the microbiome of the soil, and then and then the doctor talks about the microbiome in the guts, but rarely you hear people talking about, oh, but it's the same, you know. And so lately I'm just thinking through this little community we're hosting in our belly, and how it's hosted by the oceans and by the soil, and that you're always yeah, and that is regulating a lot of the well-being of our bodies, but also of the extended body. So when you talk about being in relation, sometimes I feel like, you know, allowing these microbiomes to talk to each other, to be just, we are carrying them,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely. I do think bodies talk across form
yeah.
and across scale. So We are living on multiple scales, and we are hosts to lots of different intelligences. And um, I think it matters what we say to ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
the
listen,
communication, yeah, and
yeah.
just the communication happens in so many different forms. No, so to listen is not words. It's so many different things. No, about listening. Like,
Yeah, I tend to shy away from the word listening because um, it's such an overused word. It's a very important word. It's an incredibly important word. But I think we need, when I'm teaching, for instance, I don't like to ask people to listen. I want to give them something more specific that results in listening.
yeah.
Because to say listen, people don't know how. They don't know what that means. It's got too many ways that it can be defined experientially in the body. It's just people don't know how to do that thing. So a lot of what I do is very much listening practices, but I'm doing it in other language, making it experiential.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I like the word encounter.
Uh-huh.
So as a way of like relating to many beings. So as I'm facilitating, also doing self practice, if I think, feel, encountering
That's
something,
beautiful.
and then merging, encountering and merging with.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. I like that.
yeah, thanks.
Oh, my dear friends, it's great to be with you. I'm glad it's a small group today. I've enjoyed this.
And what I take from here from this talk is that touch is absolutely and definitely the same as contact. Is the purest form of contact with something else, like blah blah blah, whatever.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's like, what? I didn't notice that, but okay, how come?
Yeah, my one of my professors who was on my committee, Alva Noe, has worked with dancers, lots of dancers. And he says everything touches everything. So being in touch is, it's right there. You're already in touch if you practice touch. But that's an attentional practice. You have to bring your attention to touch. Otherwise, ain't gonna be.
Mhm.
So, love you all. Alex, how did you like that talk yesterday? This is just a personal question.
Uh, of incredible interest of what dance, which role the dance has in the world, and that's why I'm like this. Okay, okay. Will I have a new idea? Probably. I'm very much in with you into this. Believe that the relational practice, the dance is the way, like one of the ways besides sitting in meditation and all this stuff,
Right.
to get into the presence and more in touch and more alive. And I still had this question all the time yesterday, like how we break the bridge or create the bridge between the normal life and the dance studio, because for me
Yeah.
that's three different me's like,
Yeah, we have to break that.
wow.
We have to really bring the dance into our everyday
Yeah,
moment. Just as
that's
we
that's
did
my
driving the car, right? That's the
correct.
dance in the everyday moment.
Yeah, and I'm looking for. There was one small tool I forgot about it, but it doesn't matter. I took one of the tools from your yesterday talk, and again, the practice is more important than the theory, which is blah blah blah. So that was a great talk as well. I took
Great.
one tool for it.
Which tool did you take?
I already forgot because as soon as I'm okay with forgetting things because I stopped to try to conceptualize things.
Yes. Yes.
It's totally fine. I hope it emerges
It
and
will come back.
it
Yeah,
will
yeah.
come back. Yeah, as soon as I
Yeah, yeah.
progress.
Yeah, yeah. And you're in baby mind. I have to let you know, you're in baby mind. You cannot expect your mind to be the mind that you had before baby. You're in baby mind, which means lots of things can get forgotten. They'll come back. They'll come back. You'll be stronger in the end. Okay, my loves, it's time. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoy seeing you. Thank you, Rebecca, for coming. Thank you, Jara. Thank you,
Thanks,
Amy.
Nita.
Nice to meet you. Hugs, Alex.
Thank
Alex,
you,
I have forgotten your wife's name again.
Inna.
Ina. Will you give Ina my squeeze? And what's your baby's name?
Lev or a
Lev.
lion. Yeah,
Lev. That's right. You told me before. Lev.
which is
So,
lion or sink or I don't know
how old
the
is
other
Lev?
names. 3 months.
Oh, I guess Lev was born when I was talking to you last. I think we had such a bad connection. I couldn't, I was like so in total confusion. Um,
Mm,
okay. Well, give Lev a squeeze for me. Okay.
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 Thanks, Nita.
And Ina too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, loves. Bye bye.